The modular building collection is considered by some to be the pinnacle of what LEGO is able to do, especially related to buildings and LEGO city collectors. But not all modular buildings are created equal. Today we're taking a look at the corner garage, set number 10264 containing 2,569 pieces. This is the corner garage and was released in 2019. Welcome into Old Mountain Bricks, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at this set, doing a quick time-lapse and speed build of the set, and giving my thoughts on the build process and the overall set, and see how it holds up these years later. Of course, the modular buildings are unique in their own way with a lot of printed pieces, unique minifigures. This one is a corner building, one we've been waiting for our LEGO city, as corners are a bit more rare. The back of the box shows the previous two modular buildings, which we've done reviews on, so check those out, Assembly Square and the Downtown Diner. The corner garage is a return to a bit more normalcy after the diner caused a bit of a ruckus when that originally came out. The box also shows some of the stories going on inside this set here, having to do with animals and a few other fun Easter eggs we'll go over here shortly. And of course, it highlights the modularity of the building itself, of course. The side of the box also highlights the minifigures that come with this set. It also shows the pieces as well, which is unique for this style of box. So let's go ahead and cut this thing open and start on the LEGO Creator Corner Garage. Cutting open the box, it's always nice opening these older sets. I can't believe this set is already 6 years old. But inside of the box, of course, you'll find the pieces, a base plate, 2 extra ones, and a ton of these plastic numbered bags there. Oh, a ton of them in these modular sets. It comes with a vertical style instruction manual. You can see kind of the first few pages there. And then we get started with the build. Of course, we start with a Mills plate using these 16 by 16 tan plates to get the foundation. And then one of the fun time-lapse aspects there, doing all the tile work. It just looks really cool when you do it at that speed there. It really makes a lot of progress quickly. Next thing you do, you start slapping bricks down left and right. Go ahead and building up those walls. It's interesting because you're doing these angles. You can see kind of with the glass there, a little bit more unique than some of the other modular buildings we've done here recently. You use those to make the angles with those 1x2 corner plates there. It's kind of like the rounded 1x2 plates, and it kind of gets the job done. Next thing you do is you start kind of building the gas pump outside. It's kind of a separate modular part of it there, which can be removed if you need to. Next, you build the blue pickup truck we'll take a look at later, tow things around, and then it kind of starts to get into the repetitive process of the build here. You're going to build these next couple of floors basically the same way, just with a little bit different interior details, which was a part of the build I didn't enjoy as much as the first part because, again, it got pretty repetitive. I like all the mini builds and kind of putting together the windows, but a lot of the extra detailing, like these little orange pieces and these pyramid pieces I'll show you later, were just a pain to put together to do it over and over for each floor and each little section. But it is always a pleasure to build these modular buildings there. And again, I've done a number of them now, so it's interesting to see how much they've changed over like the 20 or so years they've been doing these. But the build process itself I thought was a lot of fun. Of course, you finish up kind of with doing the roof and putting the final details in for the modular building. Let's take a look. So here is the corner garage. We like to do a little something special when we're reviewing these modular buildings that are just such an important part of any LEGO city like ours. So we like to give it the special treatment. So we're going to go through all the details here for it. We're going to do a top-down view of each level of the modular building and go over all the fun things and Easter eggs inside. So let's go ahead and take a look. Okay, and let's start with the exterior of the corner garage here. Of course, the unique thing about this is it has these two pull-ins that, of course, a vehicle could go from one side to the other on like a LEGO city street, so it's accessible from both sides, which is unique for a LEGO corner building. But it also has this part over here that the truck can go into, or it can be used as like a mechanic shop with the door that can open and close. So it has 3 little road points on it, which is kind of unique for this set. So it allows cars to kind of go into the middle of it. Looking at it this way, you can see you do waste a lot of the space on the base plate though, because it's meant to have that kind of play feature feature with a truck being able to go through the middle or something similar. So the building itself is only really about 8-ish studs wide on this part. Of course, it gets a little bigger from corner to front on this part, but otherwise, just looking at it next to another building here, it's quite skinny. One of the other things I thought was nitpicky on this set was doing all these like quarter round tiles to make these designs and stuff. It just gets really repetitive. Same with putting these like pyramid pieces all kind of along there, along there, along there. So it gets a little repetitive because you're making the same shape of floor and you know kind of what's coming. But we'll go over what's inside here shortly and do like a top-down review. Of course, the nice thing about modular buildings, as it does not use sticker elements, it only uses printed pieces. So we've got Joe's Garage, By Accident We Meet, and an octane gas pump. This is interesting because, of course, Octane is a Lego brand. It's not a real brand. It's one that's been in a ton of Lego sets over the years. But Lego has kind of gone away from doing gas-related things, actually, in favor of, like, electric or that type of stuff. They actually prohibit it, like, on the Lego Ideas website. You can't do any gas stations or anything related to that anymore. So it's just interesting that even just a few years ago, they kind of still did, like, a gas station, probably as a last hurrah at this point now. We probably won't get too many more gas-related items from Lego. Looking at the exterior, though, we'll take a closer look at the minifigures in just a second here, but you've got some wheels on the wall over here, a little dolly, a broom. These are just kind of mounted onto the side. This one does have a function where if you turn it, it should raise the garage a little bit. There we go, a little better now. Of course, it has the classic lamppost on the outside, which is a part of the modular building collection. You have a nice little brick-built sign up there, 2 little lights. As you rotate it around, of course, you start to see some of the ugly parts of the building, of course, using different types of plate, or especially over here for some of the like Technic pieces and everything. Of course, it does have 2 Technic holes on the side. A little fun play feature kind of built in with like an axle right there, which is kind of unique. This is the function for that. You can see as I push that, that goes up and down, but I'll show you what that does in just a minute. Around the back, you do have a nice little door and another gas can around the side with the Octane logo, but looks overall pretty good, but a few other little ugly things that they don't do as much on some of the newer modular buildings, but still fun to kind of see. You can see it kind of has a nice little cutout in the back to allow for this little stoop area, but not a lot of wasted space in the back area. I do like the building technique here, using kind of like the rounded 1x2 plates in order to kind of give it a nice little detail for the side of this little build here. And of course, on this side, this is where the actual door is to go inside the corner garage itself. This one just leads to stairs to head up to the next room. Let's go ahead and look at the roof and then do our top down. Looking at the roof, there is some nice stair access right over here just by opening these little doors there, and it leads down to the stairs, and of course a nice little sun lounger up top and a little bit of greenery there. But of course, because it is a modular building, it means it can come apart piece by piece or layer by layer, so the roof comes off pretty easily, just held on by a few studs here. This of course then exposes the top floor. A few fun little details built in here. Of course, another minifigure. He's got a little kitchen set up. I believe this is just kind of an apartment. Up on top there, you've got a printed piece with rock and roll. That's kind of an homage to the downtown diner we did a review on, so check that out if you haven't already. And a little truck. I'm not entirely sure what that is in reference to, so maybe it's just a someone who's into trucks or something similar there. Of course, a printed clock on the wall, some other fun details with the build. Knocking the minifigure over, you do of course have a nice little toilet built into the background over there. But inside one of these drawers is a continuation of some fun, of course. Starting in the detective's office, the cookies were always a big deal. And by opening this, you can see there are some cookies in the oven hidden inside. Moving the apartment around a little bit, there is the iconic bridge, which is in a lot of the modular buildings, so it's fun to see it used as an old school like rabbit ears TV. And a fun little couch build over there. And then there are those stairs that then lead up to the roof that we were looking at. But here's just a better look at the whole room there with the guy laying down now. But again, just like the last one, it comes off pretty easily. just like that, exposing the next floor. This one's kind of like a 2-in-1, meaning it's kind of separated, but it's all the same. This is a little veterinarian's office here. It's a little hard to get in this one, but I'll do my best. You can see it's got some nice printing on the wall, kind of with some appointments and such, or other x-ray type things. Over there is just a nice little lamp with a printed newspaper. We've got a frog right over here with under a nice little heat lamp and some other treats and other things for some of the other pets going on. On the table with Dr. Jones is a nice little bunny rabbit there, and a few other medical supplies and machine, and a nice window looking out that way. Going through this door, of course, opens up, is a nice little printed piece on the wall of like a park or something. This girl is looking into the vet's office, standing on the little love seat, kind of just looking and seeing what's going on. But again, a similar couch build right there for the waiting room, and a parrot right out front there. One of the Easter eggs of this set is it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can make it a little easier. I don't know if this is easier or harder to see, but this says Dr. Jones Animal Care, no snakes. And of course, there's a reference to Indiana Jones and his fear of snakes and everything, so it's just a fun little Easter egg built into that. And then here's just one more look at that floor. Of course, the stairs still leading down that goes right around this way, and down we go to the actual mechanic here. So, in the bottom floor, of course, the floor is a little bit plainer. They are taller walls on the bottom in order to accommodate kind of having like a car come in here. But you can see it's got a nice little function. And I'll show you what it was like when I was doing the build process there. This is a fun little play feature. You just push this like plate with the corner on it up against these Technic arms, and it raises and lowers it. Pretty cool. But what it can do is once you push it, it'll lift the car up once it's in there, which is fun. But in here, just a few little mini builds, some little things to work on the tire. You can see he's got like an old school cash register over there, and a minifigure and a dog, and a few window displays with a tire and some other canisters. But nothing else really to mind there, other than, again, the stairs that go up all the way to that next floor. But you can see it has a nice little garage there to kind of go out that way now. Let's take the camera directly inside so you can get a nice point of view from inside the corner garage. Once you get all the way in there, you just kind of rotate around so you can see the minifigures. Again, nothing too great on the bottom floor, which is normal, but in future models, they start to tile off the first floor as well. But definitely fun to still see all the fun details from this angle, ones you don't really get to see too often there. Of course, we have to take a look at the tow truck that comes with the set. It's like a nice blue and dark blue color using kind of the traditional tires, which I appreciate. It's got a little hook out the back in order to tow some stuff around. You can lower it by using this little Technic wheel and a worm gear in order to kind of lower it back and forth. It's not hooked on a string or anything, but it can still get the job done. It's got a little chain back here in case you need to do something with that to chain it in so it doesn't fall off. Nothing too exciting on the interior, just a steering wheel, but enough to put a minifigure in to drive around and tow everybody. But I'm glad they included something like this with the set. Just makes it an iconic vehicle now for the Modular series line. And the truck, of course, can fit inside the garage if it needs to. The store can be a little finicky, but if you're gentle with it, it works out pretty good. It's a nice place to store it, or you can just have it coming out onto the street if you want to as well. And here's a quick shot of all the leftover pieces for the corner garage. Nothing too crazy on this one. Okay, and here's now a good look at all the minifigures that come with the set. First one, we've got like the moped lady, we've got a mechanic, we've got the apartment person up top there, we've got the little girl who has like the sick animal. Another mechanic is Dog and Dr. Jones, the vet there. All of them are exclusive to the set, but they are unique in their own way. Of course, they have their own stories, and others that intermingle with other modular buildings, of course. But I love that it came with two mechanics, one to kind of drive the truck and one to work in the shop there. According to the build instructions, the lady is the truck driver, and he is the guy kind of in the shop. But overall, I think it's a nice little set of minifigures. You always want a little more, of course, from something like this. But for the age of it, there's no like dual molded legs or leg printing. But overall, look pretty good for the set. Alright, so now that we've got it all put back together and minifigures in spot, what are the final thoughts about the corner garage? So it's unique by itself just because it's a corner building. A lot of the modular buildings are straight and corners are a bit more rare. They like to do a little rotation. We've noticed over the years they'll do a corner, straight corner, straight corner as they release modular buildings. Just like this last year, we got the 2-door corner. But the corner garage holds up in its own way, I believe. It does enough. Again, I talked about it being like a gas station, so that's a little more unique for Lego. The color is a little less to be desired. They've used this kind of similar color before on a few other ones there, especially like the town hall. So after doing something like the downtown diner that was really splashy, they took it back a notch and went with something more like the corner garage, which is a bit more bland, but in a good way. It matches the rest of any other Lego City building that other folks have, because folks didn't really like the diner. This one had mixed reviews. They were glad to get kind of back to basics. It had some fun building techniques within. The minifigures are okay, but it just adds an essential part of the Lego City, which is, of course, fueling all the vehicles we've got rolling around there. So it's good to have that. I wish it had a little bit more story going on. I always think of the detective's office as a really good one for that, but it still is a nice building. It's a little ugly, especially when you look at it from the back, but obviously you wouldn't display it very often from that kind of angle. It's meant to be pushed up against 2 modular buildings in a city, so you would ideally see those very, very often. The only other thing that's kind of weird about it, because it has these 3 pull-ins, it requires a very special sidewalk piece in order to make it make sense in the average Lego City, especially for those of us who use the Mills system. But I think it's pretty good overall. Again, it's a little tedious in the building and a little repetitive in a number of spots, but I think it has enough color. I feel like they could have done a little bit more with it looking at it now, and of course, hindsight's 2020 with seeing the modular buildings that have come after it, so I think they made a lot of improvements since then. But I think the corner garage still stacks up as one of the better modular buildings we've had in a while. Again, this is from 2019, so that's already 6 years old on the old corner garage here. So definitely a lot has been improved since then, but I think, again, just looking at it obscurely, I like that it has the garage built in, that you can kind of raise and lower that. And I like that even though it's kind of a waste of space, it adds a little bit more it adds some difference to a Lego City that you normally don't get otherwise. But I think that will do it for today. So of course, let me know in the comments what you think of the corner garage. Some folks think it's the worst, some think it's one of the better ones. So let me know again in the comments below what you think of the corner garage. Make sure you like this video on the way out, and make sure you subscribe to Old Mountain Bricks, because we are going to be placing this in our Lego City in our next update there. So make sure you stay tuned for that, and it's going to get a little bumpy as we try and find a fun place for this corner building somewhere in the Lego City. But until next time, thanks for coming by Old Mountain Bricks today. Have a good one.